guys, been a while since our what if videos, but we are going to be continuing them, and might continue what if Sophia survived and might not. But welcome to what if Rick never woke up from his coma in The Walking Dead. So this what if's gonna be like, what if Rick never woke up, and what if he just like remained in that coma for the rest of his life? So we're gonna look at what would happen and stuff. We're gonna make a whole series out of this, like I always do. So let's get into it. Now the first change occurs on the rooftop, where it's Merle and T-Dog, and Merle would still be being racist to T-Dog and all, but the same group is there with him, T-Dog and Morales, and also Glenn and Jackie, and we also have Andrea. But the only difference is that there's no Rick. He's just not there. So this changes. Merle would never get handcuffed to the roof in this universe, as nobody would be brave enough or strong enough to stand up to him. As we saw that he beat T-Dog, Morales, and Rick in a 1v3 in the original show in season 1. The second, like, everybody tried to fight him back, except like Glenn, Jackie, and Andrea. But at that moment, those characters weren't that strong. Jackie was never strong as a character, if we're being honest though. So they get off the roof, no problem. And Merle is actually going to be sticking around with the group this time. And this just means like they never run into the Vatos and stuff. So that's fine, because they don't really change anything. And we get to meet the characters a little more. Like, I feel like episode 3 would mainly be dedicated to like us like learning about the characters a bit more. And then like afterwards, this is where the difference comes in. Shane would never beat up Ed in anger that Lori was like, that Lori dumped him, because in this universe Lori wouldn't dump him, because they still think Rick's dead, and they're probably never going to come across him again. And basically Shane would never beat up Ed in this universe, just meaning that, and this would mean that Ed survives, because in this universe he would never be injured in his tent, not wanting to speak to anybody, because Shane never humiliated him in this universe. So instead, Ed gets to survive. In this universe, T-Dog, Glenn, Merle, he didn't get handcuffed this time, and Daryl would still all be at camp, which results in 4 extra guys. So in this universe, Jim would actually get more backup and wouldn't get bit in this universe, resulting in him surviving. But for Amy's death, it remains the same, as I don't see a world where she could have possibly saw the walker coming. And later in the morning, Morales and his family wouldn't leave in this universe, as not many of the people in the group have actually died. So since there was only one casualty, and that was Amy, and there was just like a lot of other background people who died, they would actually stick around in this universe, because I'm pretty sure the only reason they left was because they feared dying. I don't think they actually wanted to go look for their family, but like before like the camp got attacked. But like after it got attacked, they just thought it wasn't safe being with the group, so they just fled to try to find their people. But in this universe, they're going to be staying with the group. So after the group gets to the CDC, everything would play out the same. But in this universe, they'd actually still meet Dr. Jenner, of course, but like there would be a few changes. The first change being, when Jackie and Dr. Jenner are like about to commit suicide, when the CDC is about to blow up, somebody else is also with them, and that's Jim. Poor guy, he's like, he lost his family, he watched them be devoured, he's like, it's my fault they're gone, and now I could finally join them. And maybe in another world I could have helped them, but now it's too late, and I just want to have a quick and easy end and reunite with my family once again. And Jim would see Dale trying to convince Andrea to come with him so they could all leave the CDC. And then out of frustration, when Dale looks around for the others, he sees nobody there but Jim. And Dale would try to convince Jim to come with him and try to convince Andrea to leave. But Jim says, for me, there's no getting out. I have nothing left in this world anymore. And it's better if I just die here rather than go on and live for a world that's not worth living in anymore. Dale, out of frustration, would try to convince the both of them to leave right now. So, in this universe, because of Andrea seeing Jim also staying behind, Andrea would not really listen to Dale, and in this universe, she'd stay at the CDC. And then Dale, not wanting to leave Andrea and Jim behind, as they're the two people he actually cares for left in the group, he'd try to persuade them to still leave, but eventually when they're not willing to leave, Dale would want to stay behind with them, but Andrea and Jim just force Dale out, and Dale would run out, but this time no Andrea, no Jim. And Dale gets out just in time to stay alive. And our total casualties for the season finale being Jackie, Dr. Jenner, and Andrea would also die much early on. Jim, who survived a little longer but still ended up dying. And for survivors of season 1 who didn't actually make it past season 1, we have a few. Louis or Lewis, I don't know what his name is. And Miranda, of course. And we also have Eliza. And we have Ed. And since the group are at such a bad point in the story, even though there is more survivors, their lack of hope and survival would be much less. So Shane would have to take upon the leadership role. When season 2 starts, we see him leading the group instead of Rick. Because Rick's still in the coma and he's never gonna wake up. And this is the part where Merle and Daryl start to feel outsiders of the group. Dale is destroyed after losing Andrea and Amy and a good friend of his being Jim. So he's morally destroyed. Ed would actually be improving as a person. He'd actually be taking care of Sophia and Carol in this universe. Glenn would be a man of no words basically because he'd really have nothing to really talk about as he's not really close to anybody in the group. Lori and Carl are just following the lead of whatever Shane says and does. T-Dog would still be the same overall. Morales, Miranda, Louie, and Eliza are all also just kind of the role they were playing for Carol and Sophia for the first part of season 2. They're all just playing that role, but Morales is still pretty important as a character, even though he was a side character in season 1, but I'd say they'd make him a main character probably by this point in season 2. So he's a character focused on in season 2 as being one of the main characters in season 2. And in this universe, instead of Sophia going missing and ending up in the barn, the person who actually goes missing in her spot this time it's Eliza who goes missing instead of Sophia and is eventually going to end up in the barn, of course. Otis would still end up shooting Carl here, which would still result in the group getting to the farm and still living there, try to find Eliza in this universe. And in this universe, since Shane is more humanized, he's not as reckless and angry over Lori leaving him for Rick. So in this universe, he wouldn't kill Otis, resulting in Otis surviving. Because it was really stupid how in the original Shane just killed Otis and grabbed the bag Otis had on him and ran with it, even though they both could have just easily gotten out as they weren't that much further of escaping the walkers. Also, they could have just walked away because the walkers are slow as hell. So Otis and Shane make it back and Herschel is able to save Carl's life. Merle and Daryl would start to look for Eliza together without the group, and they'd be sharing their thoughts on how their spot is in the group, and they just kind of feel outsiders, as I've mentioned before in this video already. And in this universe, Lori would tell Shane she's pregnant, and Shane wouldn't really know how to react on this but he's sort of happy in a way, and he wouldn't exactly want to just like have Lori just have an abortion for Judith, and Shane would want her to give birth because he wants to be sort of a father in a way, because like we did see that Shane was like how Shane treated Carl, and in the like hallucination of Rick, it was like Rick knew the type of guy Shane was, and Shane was asking about Judith and how she is. So overall, I think Shane probably would want Judith to be given birth to in this universe, and Judith will still be born in this universe like she was in the original. But anyways, guys, that'll be it for today, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed, and bye-bye!